Alright guys, welcome to Tango's TikToks. Let's see what my favourites have got for us today.
Imagine that this folder is a dimensional plane. Now, assuming that it is no height and no depth, what would this mean? It would mean that it's a one-dimensional world. So if, hypothetically, an organism was living inside of it, it would only be able to move in a linear path forward and backwards in a straight line. Now, if we go to the second dimension, we have two dimensions. We have width and we have length. So hypothetically, if an organism lived inside of here, then it would be able to move up, down, left, right, and anywhere else in between. And a two-dimensional world is comprised of an infinite series of one-dimensional worlds stacked upon each other. Just as our three-dimensional world, which has depth and length and height, is comprised of an infinite series of two-dimensional worlds. So, now that I have stacked many folders upon each other, we have three dimensions. We have depth, we have length, and we have width. Now what happens if you keep going on from here on out? We would have a four-dimensional world, but what exactly is a fourth dimension? In order to understand this, we need to understand how dimensions are perceived. We live in the three-dimensional world, but despite that, we actually view things to be two-dimensionally. Take a perfect sphere, for example. If you're looking at a sphere, it looks just like a regular two-dimensional circle. The only way that you can tell it's an actual sphere instead of a circle is because of the hues of light on it. So just like in a two-dimensional world, if a organism in the two-dimensional world was looking upon a circle, the light would make it appear to be lighter at one end and darker in the middle. Also, if an object is moving closer and farther away from you, you don't actually perceive that it's getting closer and farther away. You see that it's getting smaller or larger, and then you assume that it's getting either farther away or closer. But let's say that an object was to grow in perfect equilibrium, so that it was growing at the same speed that it was shrinking as you move it farther away. Then you would not be able to tell, without any light or if there were details on the object, that it's moving or growing at all. You may have assumed that since we perceive things to be in two dimensions, that a two-dimensional organism would see in one dimension. So, as we're watching this rubber band expand as it moves farther away from this little organism in the two-dimensional world, it does not actually perceive anything is happening to it because it's growing at the same speed that it's moving farther away. But since we can actually see it from the three-dimensional world and perceive things to be in two dimensions, we can see things for how they actually are. The reason that the two-dimensional organism doesn't see things the way they really are is because the two-dimensional organism sees things in one dimension, just how we, three-dimensional creatures, see things in two dimensions. So in a way, we don't really see our world the way it truly is. A four-dimensional creature, however, seeing our three-dimensional world in three dimensions, would be able to see through things. Would be able to see absolutely everything, just as we could see if there was several organisms spread along a 2D environment on your floor. You'd be able to see inside houses. You would be able to see inside of people. So if a two-dimensional world, a flat surface, is just made of an infinite amount of lines, then the 3D world is just made out of an infinite amount of planes. So the 4D world, logically, is made out of an infinite amount of 3D objects, though they're not just put together like you would like building blocks. That's not how the 4D world is. That would just be 3D again. So in order to understand this, we need to understand the logical progression of mathematics in our world. Imagine that this connects piece represents the first dimension. It's simply a straight line, which is basically what the first dimension looks like. And if you add three more of these straight lines and connect them so that adjacent sides are perpendicular and opposite sides are parallel, then you have the basic shape of the second dimension. You have a square. Now if you keep going from here, and you add it so that there's a total of 4 squares, and all adjacent sides are perpendicular, and all opposite sides are parallel, then you end up with, obviously, a cube. So, if you try to keep going from here, and you would have a four-dimensional basic shape, you would have what's called a tesseract. Now, I cannot show you a tesseract, but you need to understand that it's basically four cubes that are within each other that have all adjacent sides perpendicular and all opposite sides parallel. Yet there are four lines connecting to each vertex. So a tesseract would look somewhat like this picture. Now that's not exactly what it looks like, because this is a two-dimensional depiction, and obviously not all of the lines are straight. So I cannot show you what a tesseract actually looks like, because we cannot perceive things in the third dimension. You cannot even imagine what a tesseract looks like. You cannot in your mind picture the fourth dimension or a fourth dimensional shape. And you can keep going on from the fourth dimension even. You can go to the fifth dimension, the sixth dimension, the 71st dimension. It doesn't matter. Theoretically, there are an infinite amount of spatial dimensions. The common misconception of the fourth dimension is that the fourth dimension is time. Now, while some argue that by going forward and backwards in time, if you move forward the same distance and backwards the same, then you would end up in the same place you started, just like in the fourth dimension. And while that may seem logical, if you think about it, it really doesn't make sense. If you imply that the fourth dimension is actually time, well, first of all, time is not spatial. There's a difference between space and time, quite obviously. And assuming that all dimensions are according to a pattern, then that doesn't really make sense either, because saying the fourth dimension is time, every dimension has time in it, so that would mean that the fourth dimension is special in some way, which doesn't really make any sense. Another reason this doesn't make sense is that we very, very, very slightly travel through time whenever we move due to the distance that light takes to get to our body. Now, if a group of astronauts were to get in a spaceship and they were to go very, very, very close to the speed of light, then they went around in this impossible, nearly the speed of light spaceship for a few months, and then afterwards they returned to Earth. They would find that Earth had actually progressed a few years, so they had moved forward in time by moving that quickly. Another interesting concept involving the fourth dimension is that many physicists and even mathematicians may say that the dimensions are very, very slightly curved, because if you really think about it, nothing can be truly, absolutely infinite. So imagine that the first dimension, the line, is just very, very slightly curved, so that after a very long time, it will end up creating a circle. So, as suggested by many physicists, if you keep going in the same direction, then you will end up where you started after a very, very long amount of time, obviously. And the same thing would happen to the second dimension. If it's just a square, and then you extend it very, very slightly in a curve, and it will eventually make a sphere. And the same thing happens in our dimension, except it will form a very, very slightly curved third dimension, which will form a four-dimensional universe, basically. So what this kind of means is that our three-dimensional world is within a four-dimensional world, and the four-dimensional world is within a fifth-dimensional world, and so on. Now, I did say that nothing can be truly infinite, but if this is true, and a dimension is really within another dimension, within another dimension, within another dimension, then I'm implying that there's an infinite amount of dimensions, which is the only problem I really have with this theory. I'm not sure if it ever stops, or if infinity is really even possible. We don't know that. Thanks for watching my video, and I hope this gave you a better idea of what the fourth dimension is.
This thing just literally blew my mind. I am a 48-year-old dumb compared to this kid. What is he, like 14? 15 years old in this video? What is he talking about? Blew my mind. He sounds like he's a veteran scientist, whatever. I mean, oh my god, just blew my mind. Blew my mind.
Top 10 scary places on Earth. Number 10, Hauska Castle. The Hauska Castle is considered the gateway to hell. I will explain. You see this castle here? All the doors and windows you see are fake. They don't lead anywhere. This castle has no entrance and no exits. It was built around this hole. You see the space in the middle? This hole is located there. Towards the end of the Second World War, the Nazis conducted spiritual experiments in this area. The indigenes said that the Nazis were the ones who built this castle around the hole. What were they trying to cover? This castle is located in the middle of nowhere. No cities or towns close by. People who pass by have reported seeing creatures crawling out of the building and have said to occasionally hear sounds of people crying inside the building. A building with no doors or windows, who could be crying inside there? Number 9. The Warrens Occult Museum. Have you seen the movie Conjuring or Annabelle or The Nun? Well, all of those movies have a link to this house. This couple decided to collect demonic items, cursed items, and possessed items from all over the world just to keep it in their house. Why? This picture shows one of the rooms in the Warrens' house. This is another room, another room, another room, another room. And you know the worst part? They live in this house every day. Their home is considered the most haunted house in the entire world. Every day, a priest has to come to the house to bless the house, praying on every door in the house, blessing it with holy water. There have been a lot of paranormal activity in and around this house. Because of this, they don't have neighbors. They are the only ones who know how to restrain these demonic entities, and that is why they have decided to keep them in their house. I wonder what happens when they die.
I would not walk into any of these houses. Not one
On Earth.
Here's some of the creepiest videos on the internet, part 10. The popular American rapper XXXTentacion was murdered on June 18th, 2018, and his death broke the hearts of many. Many people visited his memorial to leave gifts, but some people captured much more. The YouTube channel The Fam recorded a video trying to communicate with this beloved rapper, but accidentally captured this. But someone else got a lot more than this. The YouTube channel Selva the Explorer got to speak with him through her spirit box. Here's some things he had to say.
What is your favorite song that you ever recorded? What's the name of your favorite song? Are you in the white light? Is there anything else you want to tell us?
I don't know if I believe that. Well, don't know what to say.
Scary facts you wish you never knew.
CNN has had a pre-recorded broadcast from the 90s, which they will premiere during the end of the world. A mysterious unknown Russian radio station has been broadcasting a strange buzzing, punctuated by intermittent code words, since 1973. Typing 444 will turn on TikTok's dark mode. There is a shack called the Devil's Toy Box in Louisiana, and for some reason people who go in lose their mind. Do you know the tingly feeling you get when you eat a pineapple? Well, that's because the pineapple is eating you. It has an enzyme called bromelain, and that enzyme eats meat, which you're made of. 23% of children under the age of 13 have experienced auditory illusions, meaning they've heard voices. Sharks have been around for 420 million years, meaning they have survived all 4 big mass extinctions, making them older than dinosaurs, Mount Everest, and even some trees on this planet.
In the following video, a young girl plays with a pair of glasses while mom and dad talk in the bedroom. It appears that no one else is around except maybe their pet dog, but according to the mother who sent me this clip, there is no way that her dog was responsible for this creepy incident. If no one else was present in the kitchen during this time, as she states, then what was this?
Kate? You sound like she's in the mission. Kate, Bo. Come here. What, baby?
Understandably, the child's parents were freaked out upon listening to what was captured. Either in the kitchen or somewhere else in the house, a loud screech is heard. Someone in the house had screamed, but this doesn't make any sense as no one else lives there except them, who certainly didn't scream during this recording. Now, even stranger is the fact that their daughter had no reaction whatsoever to the sound. In fact, no one else had heard it when it happened. Whether person or ghost, the family has no clue as to who or what had made the noise.
Anyway, guys, that was it for today. This is Lawrence with Tango's TikToks. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked this video. It's a bit long-winded with the science kid at the beginning talking about fourth dimensions and fifth dimensions, but I kind of got into that. Let me know what you want to watch. Do you want to watch some comedy as well? So I'll react to some comedy. You let me know. Put it down in the comments. Like and subscribe. Let me know what you think of these videos. And have an amazing day. Bye.